I suppose it's time to start pulling out the rubbish. Actually giving the car a clean. Oh dear me. Oh dear. So I pulled out pretty much all of the rubbish. There was tissues and bits of takeaway wrappers, and the amount of salt packets and vinegar packets, there was a lot. Bit of blue tack and a plug. Piece of paper. Just keep finding stuff. There was a screw somewhere. There it is. A screw. It's always screws in centre consoles. Always. I also found what I'm going to call the body bag. There was a body bag in the boot. I'm not really sure why, but I'll pull it back out at some point and show you. The only thing left in the dashboard, on the dashboard to remove, are these little monster stickers, so they can come off. One, and last but not least, that one. Oh, coming off. Two. That's my USB charger. Oh look, we've got a little Groot up there. Groot, you have been requested back by the previous owner, Terry. So you can come off, and we will make sure you get home, little Groot. I'm Groot. Right, so then next step is actually to pull the car forwards a bit on the driveway and actually fully hoover it, valet it out the best I can, clean it. I want to clean all of the bonnet as well, because all the plastics are really full of muck and dirt, and obviously we can do a better job. And yeah, I need to show you this body bag. So that's the next step. Let's move the car and get... Today's the big day. The vehicle's finally ready for its MOT. I'm taking it to one of the local garages in Eden, where I always set my cars. Fingers crossed I get a positive outcome. I don't suspect any issues, but you never know, do you? The Mondeo, when I took it for its MOT, on its way back effectively the day after, it snapped its handbrake cable, so it's just the way it goes, isn't it? Well, wish me luck. It's not even me, is it? But wish the car luck. So I'm in a non-fruity beverage. No one knows what I'm drinking there. Right, so the BMW was back from MOT. It actually failed on a bulge, or an egg, on the tyre. Some of you might know what that is. It's a breaking down of the sidewall, and air can not escape as such, because it's still maintained within the tyre. But it literally causes a bulge on the side of the tyre, and obviously it's very, very dangerous. I don't know at what point that arrived. I don't know if it came before I picked it up from Southampton or when I got back or what, but there was an egg. It was about 2 inch big and it would split. So, yeah, could have been dangerous for a bit further on down the road. Other than that, it passed on everything. There was an advisory for front brake pads. That's it. So, as I want to sell the car on in best condition as possible, we have a set of front brake pads. All I've done is empty the rubbish out of it so far, so I've still got the headlights to clean up, which the garage gave a go. They tried to clean them up without me asking, but that's what that garage does. They don't charge me or anything like that for it. So they look a little bit better than maybe when you first saw them, but we're going to see if we can get them a lot better. Got the pads to fit, got the headlights to, and a good valet. There's already a buyer lined up, which is super, and hopefully it's coming to collect it this weekend. So we need to get cracking on, get this fitted, get it tidy and ready for the weekend. So here is one of these lovely wheels. I've got these plastic caps on that just pull off just like that. Get these off, and then we can get the car in the air. We would normally break these off, but I've got my big gun, so I'm going to use them two hands, get these caps off, get the car in the air, and gun the wheel off.
Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Yeah.
See the big calipers of the BM. And pads have still got quite a bit of life in them. But while we're here, we may as well change them, haven't we? Very tidy in here, very clean. Never realised they had ductings built into them to help cool the brakes. Very clever. It's just very tidy under here. The new owner will be very happy, that's for sure. Right, now time to start splitting this down. So we'll have some bolts on the back, hidden in them caps, undo them, angle this spring, jobs are good, and be able to get to the pads. Then we'll pop the bonnet as well. We'll have a look at the brake fluid level, because obviously as we're pushing the piston back, we're going to be increasing the level up at the top, so we need to see if there's a bit of wiggle room to push the fluid back. So on the back of the caliper there is a 7mm Allen key bolt in there. There's a little plastic cap that comes off. You can see where I'm lined up for the bottom one at this moment in time. Get them undone. There's also this little wire for the brake pad sensors, so I've just pulled out for the time being so don't get damaged. And then it's just the front spring. And get this loosened off. Don't forget the caliper out of the way. Now look at these pads. So I pulled the sliders out the back. Well, first thing I did was pop this clip off. This literally hangs on that, sorry, other way around. Sat in there. I got my screwdriver under this tab, popped it straight off. Then I pulled the pins as far as out as those come. A little bit of levering with a screwdriver. As you can see, I have now one huge caliper. You see the pins there, how far I pulled them out, just so I know they weren't catching. So I'm going to secure this so it can hang without stretching any cables or any wires, because obviously we've got the sensors and stuff. And then we can push this piston back, put the new pads in. Hey presto, job's a good one. To the other side. So the pads pulled straight out. I'm just using my big grips to grip around the caliper. Slowly tease the piston back in. Oh, that, not entirely sure how far it goes on this one, so I do feel like I bottomed out there though. So the easiest thing to do now is just to grab the pads and have a look, one, if they fit in here, because that seal looks to be the shape of the seal to me. So I think I'm about right where that is. So we can put the pads into here. Well, one fits in there, one fits into here. Should drop over this disc, and then it's just a case of rebuilding it. Put a bit of copper grease in. Let's get the pads. Well, this is embarrassing. Wrong pads. So these are the pads that they've sent me for the registration of the vehicle. These are significantly bigger. Whoops. That's a wasted evening I ain't gonna get back. Bloody hell. Well, that stuffed me up a little bit, because obviously I now can't do my brake pads. So while I wait for the next day so I can actually get some more brake pads, I will crack on with the headlights. That was the next thing on the list I wanted to do. Tidy up the headlights. Now I do have a little waffle pad which is super for doing this sort of job, and I use G3 Professional Scratch Remover and some water. So I'm gonna get me some water. I've got a hose pipe that I bought from Temu. I might give that a go. I wouldn't imagine it's going to be great, but it cost about £6. Right, so I'm going to get me water and we'll see if we can get these headlights looking better. Got my lovely £6 hose that's 30 metres long. So you can see that they've already had a go at cleaning this one up. So we just need to make it look better than this, because it's quite smoky. It almost looks like smoky, but it really lets down like the look of the car. So give it a bit of a rinse with my Temu hose. I should say this is not a plug for Temu, it's just cost £6 and it leaks. It's just what you expect. Thought I'd give it a go. Yeah, bit of a rinse. Here's our cloth. Put a little bit of water on the cloth and go to town. I'll start with a nice back and forth across the headlight, really concentrating in certain areas before moving on. So I just wanted to spread the pace around first so it was actually all across the light, and then I'm going to work along the stop edge, then work my way down and back around again. further down. Now we're about 3/4 of the way down the headlight. Across the bottom. And then what we do is we give it a rinse and look at it and go, wow. Wow. It's so much better. That's one pass. I've done 2 passes on this one. See, it's started to dry. So what the actual could really benefit with is that bit of lacquer. Loads better though. The car looks much better now it's had its headlights cleaned. Got some fingerprint marks here, that'll be from MOT test centre. Needs a wash. Well, one thing to do now while we've got the bonnet up is let's give the engine bay a once over. Just give everything a quick wipe down, because then we don't need to come back underneath here again. But spending a bit of time and a little bit of elbow grease on the parts underneath here can certainly make it look a lot better than it currently does. So that's my next plan now. So what I've got here is a little bit of universal lubricant, WD-40 for, well, that's a cheaper version. We're going to spray it on, give it a lovely little wipe that helps move all the muck, and then it leaves it looking shiny and new. So that airbox now looks loads cleaner. Now I just need to do the rest of the bay. And there we go, after a nice quick going over with a bit of WD and a bit of blue roll. Engine bay looks really tidy. Now I just need to wait for some new pads. It's a couple of days later now, and I now have another set of pads. These are much more like it. These come the correct size, which is always a benefit. So these are the same size as the ones I've removed, and they've got the same mounting brackets. And they also come with a box of new sensors. I did wonder when there was no sensors with the other ones, but I thought I'd best check the size, and obviously they was wrong. Yeah, it turned out they sent me the rears. That's what the other pads were. But now we've got the fronts, so we'll get these fronts fitted. I left the wheel stripped down effectively. You know, all I've got to do is take the jacket back up, take the wheel off, and put the pads in, and we'll do the other side, on the centre, I suppose. So I'll show you. So I've just clipped the pads back in place, and I've just copper grease up the tops and the bottoms where they're going to fit in these sliders just here. Now it's time to put the caliper back over the disc, and everything should fit nicely because the piston's already been pushed back earlier the other day. So I've not actually tightened the bolts up yet, but as you can see, the new pads fit into the groove of the carrier. Oh, I forget the camera low enough. So you know it's lined up correctly, and the reason why we've lubed it up is so it can slide in and out on that carrier as in, like the pistons compress. It allows the pads to move, it doesn't squeak or anything like that. So put the bolts in, then it's just a case of disconnecting this wire up here, and we'll put the new sensor in last. But we'll get the bolts in at the back, these little Allen key ones, that'll then hold the caliper in place, and then we can finish off. So this is the brake wear indicator or brake wear sensor, whatever you want to call it. It pushes into the top of the gap in the pads right here. So this one obviously pulled out of the previous pads, and then sits around the brake nipple just there, and then it fed into here, up into this little electric box, which I just pried open with a little screwdriver, and then it gives me this connection. This connection just untwists, you twist in the new one, refeed it back in, push it into the pads. Job's a good one. I apologise, that previous little clip I said it untwists, it doesn't. You press that little tab in and literally just pulls out, doesn't twist. I thought it twisted in. So run that back into its box now. We get it sealed at the top, wire comes out the bottom, close the little door, that's it. Run that wire down onto there. This bit goes around the brake nipple. That should give it room for the cover to close, there we go. And then this bit pushes in between the pads it locks in place now. I want to do it on camera, but I'll be honest, I can't see what I'm doing. So I'll quickly get it pushed in and I'll show it you pushed in. Hopefully you can just, there we go. It sits on the edge of the pad and pushes right down. And effectively, as the pad wears thinner, that sensor gets closer and closer and closer to the disc. Then when it finally touches the disc, it earths and that'll throw a light on the dashboard. So there we are now. This side is all done. And put the wheel back on and torque it all up and go and do the other side. There's two important steps to do now. One, now the car's back on the floor and it's all been rebuilt, is to torque these up to what they should be to the technical spec. I'll have a quick look online, probably around 110, I would have thought 120 max, maybe 110 with the meal alloys. Then the next thing to do is to pump your brakes. If you don't pump your brakes, the first time you move the car and you drive down the road and you go for your brakes, the pads have to fill the gap of the void, because obviously the pistons have been pushed back, and if you don't pump them first, they won't contact the brake disc that first time you pump, and good job you might crash, or good chance you might crash, not good job, good chance you might crash. So yeah, we'll torque these up and then we'll pump the brake pedal. And then it's just time of cleaning it and giving it to its new owner. So in this video we have started cleaning out the car, and I know I started because the weather was pretty bad. We took out all the rubbish and that. I sent it straight in for an MOT just to see what would happen. Technically it failed first time round because there was a bulge on the tyre. They replaced the tyre for me and then it passed. The garage had a go at cleaning the headlights as well while they had it, because it's a good garage, they do stuff like that. So it never even come up as advisory. I think they just had to give it a go. We've then cleaned the headlights, and because it passed its MOT, we looked at the advisory list, and everything on the advisory list was front brake pads, which we have just done. That reminds me, pump that brake pedal. Much better, rock hard. The first couple of times it went to the floor, but that's right, now it's rock hard. Yeah. So we're just on the brake pads, and then we are going to wrap this video up. This is like part 2, and part 3 will be the last, literally cleaning the car, getting it down, and I've got a buyer already picked out ready for it, so they're actually on the way today as I'm filming this one. So I'm going to clean the car next in the next video. We'll talk about the numbers and how much we've spent and if we've made any profit at the end. That will be in the next video, so make sure you like, subscribe and all that friggin' spiel, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye.